Well, we're going to see a baseball game in the middle of a racetrack. No, I didn't just make that up.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Prize Picks. What is Prize Picks? I'll tell you exactly what Prize Picks is. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB. You got a first deposit match up to $100. For those of you watching us here on the YouTubes, you will see that I am not alone. This is indeed a crossover episode, and we are crossing over to the other side with
Jeff Carr, Locked On Reds. What's up? Thanks for having me on, Sully.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. You've been on this show a bunch. I've been on your. We've done each other's show a lot. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever it's called now. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm Sully Baseball on Twitter. Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Jeff Carr, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on X at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs, and you can follow the Locked On Reds show wherever you get Locked On MLB, including right here on YouTube.
You can follow him on X with 3 Fs. Or you can follow him on F with 3 Xs. It's strange. That's how it works out. By the way, answer the trivia question. Thank you for Argonaut Trivia. I was talking about Lance McCullers Jr., whose career very well might be over soon after yet another surgery. And I asked, what did he and Jordan Montgomery have in common in back-to-back years? And what they had in common was this. They each got their first major league career saving Game 7 of a postseason series. The first major league save by Jordan Montgomery was Game 7 of the 2016 World Series. The first major league save for Lance McCullers Jr. was Game 7 of the 2017 American League Championship Series. So those are examples of two players they had in common. They got their first big league save, clinching Game 7 of a postseason series. Not a bad way to start things off. By the way, just quickly going through, this is being dropped on Friday the 9th. Yesterday was a Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs day of baseball, including, I don't know if you saw, there were 2 games where one team was on the verge of making the game-ending play only to make a critical mistake and blow it. The Padres were playing Pittsburgh. Bednar, who was on pace to blow 48 saves in 1 week, induced a game-ending double play, which Cruz decided to throw into the upper deck of PNC Park, which allowed the tying and go-ahead runs to go for San Diego, who are, by the way, right now only 2.5 games behind the Dodgers. And the other one was the game between Detroit and Seattle. 2 outs, bases loaded, a sinking line drive to right field. The Tigers right fielder made a dive for it. It bounced past him. The bases cleared, and the Seattle Mariners walked off. What was going to be a game-ending catch turned into a game-ending dive. And in that situation, the Mariners are back to a tie or virtual tie with the Houston Astros. Things are weird. The people want to fire Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone as the Yankees are tied for first place and 1 game back of having the best record in the American League. All right, so can them. It's we're approaching mid-August. Also, the Dodgers World Series or bust are only 2.5 in front of the Padres and only 3.5 in front of the Arizona Diamondbacks. All is normal in the world. And for the first time since Memorial Day, The Braves are not a playoff team. The Braves, right now, if the playoffs ended today, the Braves would be playing golf. And by the way, the concept of the season ending today, that's going to be a preview for my show on Monday, where I remembered back 20 years ago, sorry, check that, 30 years ago. How old am I? 30 years ago, the season did end on August 12th, and I'll be talking about that on Monday's show. There's a little preview for that. Okay, just want to take care of business right there. But Jeff Carr, I want to have you on the show because you live in the great state of Kentucky.
Ohio, but Cincinnati is basically Kentucky. A lot of folks in Cleveland and Columbus like to joke that Cincinnati.
When you call me, it says Jeff Carr, Kentucky. You understand?
Yeah, I got a Kentucky number. Yeah.
Well, there you go. So I'm not that far off. Granted, I still have a New York number, and I haven't lived in New York since 2005. But that's that was so long ago. The White Sox actually won postseason series that year. But the Astros were a National League team. But okay, but you're in that region. You're amongst the hill people. I love the state of Kentucky, and I think we've all been in the state of Kentucky. But I want you to tell our listeners what the heck was announced last night.
So Major League Baseball announced, and they had a press conference on Friday afternoon to kind of explain themselves a little bit. The Reds and the Braves are going to play a baseball game, just one game, August 2nd, 2025 at Bristol Motor Speedway in it's like northeastern Tennessee for folks not familiar with the area or with NASCAR or with whatever. But it's northeastern Tennessee that basically borders like Kentucky and West Virginia and North Carolina. It's a pretty diverse area. But with that, the field is going to be built on the flat surface in the middle of the infield of the racetrack, and the rendering has it so that the left field corner kind of gets pushed in just a little bit. It looks like it's going to favor right-handers for this one specific game, but everything else is going to be pretty normal as far as how a field manages to get built in the middle of a speedway. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the game itself is played, but you're going to be able to seat quite a few people for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to imagine what the foul territory is going to be like in this. I have to be 100% honest, okay? I know nothing about NASCAR. Nothing. Yeah. I know it involves cars, and I know that Lightning McQueen really wanted to win the Cup. And that's pretty much my knowledge of NASCAR is Lightning McQueen and Richard Petty. That's it. That's how big Richard Petty was that I've heard of him. My friend Barb, I know listens to the show. She works for a racing car crew and does race car driving herself in Florida. Barb, hi. She's a huge race fan. Has been following the show. And I've told her, like, I don't even understand what it means to have a team. I don't even understand what it means to have a racing. I mean, you're trying to drive faster, but I don't understand. And this is not locked on NASCAR. But what I do know is that they do have that gigantic section in the middle of the racetrack, which I always saw as lots of RVs and trucks with antennas on it. And in the movie Driven with Sylvester Stallone, that's where Burt Reynolds was on the headset talking to him the whole time. Again, this is what I know. But it seems like there's enough room in there to shove a Major League Baseball field. But it would feel like it would be a little bit like when they had the Dodgers playing in the Coliseum. That, I mean, is it going to be cramped? How is that even going to work?
It looks like it's situated where home plate is kind of in the middle. So, like, if you can imagine, it's a big oval ellipsis, basically, is what the track looks like, and you got that flat area in the middle, like you said, with all the RVs and stuff. And by the way, my NASCAR knowledge begins and ends with the rivalry of Ricky Bobby and Jean Girard.
We're in the same boat.
We're in the same boat there. But yeah, when it comes to the way that it's rendered, like, home plate is sort of in the middle of that oval, and it's center field will be out kind of caddy corner, not straight on, but caddy corner for the big turn. So you're going to see the embankment where all the NASCARs like drive around, and the stands are going to circle it. They had a computerized shot from what it'll look like from home plate, and to a batter they're going to be able to look up and just see all of the stands going up. They're not going to really see that gap where the track separates the field from the stands. It's just going to look so cool. There's going to be so many shots from this. There's going to be so many great pictures that come out of this game. And I kind of like this whole idea that the Major League Baseball has done with the whole outdoor, different venue type game.
And I agree with that. And when we come back, I want to talk about that, because I think this is one of the things that I want to make sure everyone understands. I'm in favor of this.
Mhm.
I'm in favor of mixing up the pitches. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the advantages of that, and maybe some ways we could think outside the box that could help Major League Baseball in other venues. Hey, let's hear a little bit from our friends over at Liquid IV. Now, let me tell you something, Jeff. I'm in California right now. It is hot. As we would say in Massachusetts, it's wicked hot. And you got to make sure to stay hydrated. If you're going to go to a ball game, how are you going to stay hydrated? Where are you going to get those little helmets where you shovel in your ice cream? You're just going to be drinking. You're going to be going like I went to the River Cats game, just pounded sodas. That's my River Cats cup, by the way. No! I humbly recommend Liquid IV. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's popsicle firecracker flavor. It's a surefire summer hit. You get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. Look, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. I believe Abner Doubleday was having Liquid IV when he created the rules of baseball. Neither of those statements were true. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of popsicle firecracker. It's a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavor. If you know me, you had me at raspberry. You can find all your flavors on the website, from acai berry to lemon lime to pina colada. Don't get caught in the rain. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by LIV Hydroscience, which is trademarked. An optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports strength, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, always vegan, always gluten-free, always dairy-free, always soy-free, always worry-free. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop for better hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Sing that song with me, liquidiv.com. Passion, drive, patience. These are all the formulas for winning championships, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performances. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your #1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is available only to U.S. customers. Sorry, Toronto Blue Jays fans. eBay Motors. Now, look, the good folks at Locked On, if I'm looking at what I'm supposed to say right now, want me to tell you that your second listen should be Locked On MLB. But the fact of the matter is you're listening to me right now. So thanks for listening to Locked On MLB for your first listen. For your second listen, I'll say it, make it Locked On A's. I'm there for you 5 days a week, breaking down the Oakland Athletics. But even if you're not an A's fan, you are going to enjoy what we're doing on the show because this is the last year. They're off to Sacramento. They're off to Vegas. And on my show that I'm dropping next week, I am going to visit on location all the places in the Bay Area where they propose to build a ballpark. Guess what's at none of those places? A ballpark. So check us out. You'll enjoy the show. Prepare for the end of the Oakland A's era and the beginning of something. We have it covered to you every single day at Locked On A's, available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I suppose I should have promoted Locked On Reds, but you're listening to it. There you go.
I did go. It's you mentioned the different sites and stuff. I was in Vegas earlier this year, and I went to like the area where they're proposing that they're going to build the stadium, and I was like, this seems small.
Yeah, small, and also too close to the airport to have a high dome like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost as if it wasn't prepared. You notice the Cell shirt behind me? By the way, I posted my Reds visitor Reds jersey back there for you. Speaking
the
of
Reds and the Giants together, that's opening day matchup 2025. Reds
yeah, well, this is kind of latter career Joe Morgan. If I had held up an Astros jersey, it would have been perfect. And a Phillies, could have had his Phillies. Speaking of ride or dies, we've got the NASCAR game that's coming out. One thing that I liked about when they first did interleague play in the mid 1990s was that it was in the middle of the year. I think that since we have there's no difference between the leagues, I've been adamant that I think, all right, there's no difference between the league. There's a universal DH. Teams play each other all the time. Just realign, make four regional divisions, north, south, central, west. That's what it should be. And I've talked about that. But when there was a difference, the middle of the year was the time of interleague play. It was kind of like, all right, it's a long season, so in the middle of the year, let's mix it up. And there are matchups you didn't normally see. Well, now that's off the table. So I'm liking in the middle of the year, we're going to London. We're going to Alabama. We're going to the Field of Dreams. And now we're going to the racetrack. This is the reason why I don't want to start the damn season. Sorry for the explicit rating on here. That's why I don't want to start the damn season in Japan or in Seoul or wherever. Right. Not because I'm a xenophobe or because I don't want to have baseball elsewhere. I loved it in London and everything, and I actually like the Japan games. Just don't start the season there. Have them be in the middle of the year, where that's where you kind of mix it up. Okay, it's the middle part of the year. It's the middle part of the marathon. Everyone remembers the beginning and end of a marathon. This is that middle part where you're running down like you're trudging through Cochituate, Massachusetts, going, oh, for God's sakes, how much longer am I running this damn thing? And so this is, all right, let's mix it up a little bit. And so putting it in, the Field of Dreams and all this, that all works great. And it sparks things up here. Are you in agreement with me on this, that this is kind of a fun way to goose up the middle of a season?
100%. And it's funny now that the Reds have been a part of two of these things. They were in the Field of Dreams games with the Cubs in the second year after the White Sox and Yankees did it. But they were a part of it, and now they're being a part of this Speedway series. I also love the ironic juxtaposition of Ellie De La Cruz and Ronald Acuna going together on a speedway. I feel like they should probably run on the track, like maybe get them on the embankment, see who's faster, because hopefully Acuna will be fully healthy by then. And we're talking about he had 73 steals in 2023, and Ellie's on pace to maybe even break that number here in 2024 because he's already at 59. So I think that there's going to be a lot of fun just with that matchup in and of itself, but also hopefully, the Reds kind of take a step forward like we were hoping they would do this year, next season. And then you're also dealing with a Braves team that is much more healthy. You mentioned at the top of the show, they're out of the playoff race now. And a lot of that's just to do with the fact that they're hurt. Like everybody on that team seems to be on the injured list right now. So get everybody back healthy and get them in this environment that is totally different. They had some NASCAR drivers there at their introductory press conference, and they were talking about that. They had the governor of Tennessee there, and they're talking about all this great stuff that they're going to do promotionally for this game. And you can imagine they're probably going to have some sort of concert that coincides with this. I mean, we're in the heart of, country music land and all this other stuff, and maybe even a little bit of bluegrass too. They had that at the press conference. That'd be kind of fun. But it's a great area that really where the Reds and the Braves are, there's a lot of fans of that, but they're not really that close to either one of these teams. They're bringing baseball to them. Right. And I feel like that's a great idea.
Yeah. And in fact, let's come back and after this break, because I think you stepped upon something that I wanted to bring up. And I have, I'll say it, a radical idea for a game to be played in a non-MLB ballpark.
Today's episode is brought to you in part by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app, and you can enjoy the rest of the Major League season by taking your favorite players, taking your favorite stats, and picking more or less. Putting together 2 of those picks in an entry gets you paid, and in some cases, only 4 picks can win you up to 100 times your money. They've got these little things, and they tag different player statistics with them. They're either demons or goblins. They both sound bad to me, but that's, demons are what help you get to that 100 times payout easier. And I saw one today that's very interesting just looking at these games. You have Brandon Drury in the Angels and Nationals game, total bases over or more or less 2.5 with a demon on it. You put him in your lineup, it's going to be easier to get there. Plus, looking at that same game, CJ Abrams on the National side, more or less 2.5 total bases. I'm clicking more on both those things. I think those guys are going to go off in this game. And then, oh, by the way, Ellie De La Cruz is playing today, and he's going to steal a base. It just happens. When he's in Milwaukee, he steals bases. Ask him about home plate from last year. So check it out on Prize Picks today. Download the app. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB, all lowercase, for a first deposit match of up to $100 on Prize Picks, where all you got to do is pick more or pick less. It's really that easy.
Hey, this is a reminder that Locked On has created the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel. It's available on YouTube or on the free Amazon TV, the Free Fire channel app. Oh, it's a Mad Lib. Check out Locked On Sports today. It gives you the best analysis, the best takes from all the talent from the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Well, I'm Sully from Locked On Goblins. That's Jeff Carr from Locked On Demons. And a lot of people's ride or dies will be driving around the NASCAR. There are 2 points I want to make. First of all, I'm a big believer that teams should try to become embrace the regions around them and really try to sort of gobble up not just their metropolitan area, but the smaller metropolitan areas around them. You've seen San Francisco do a pretty good job of that. Obviously, the best team that's done that has been Boston. That's made the entire all of New England obsesses over the Red Sox. But thanks to Ted Turner in the Braves in the Superstation, they've done a real good job of making the Braves the team of the South. I think the Cincinnati Reds should be the team of the regions around Southern Ohio, Kentucky, Louisville, West Virginia. I remember when I spent a month of my life in West Virginia and Kentucky working on a television show. I don't mean to brag, But I remember seeing all the people there wearing Cincinnati Bengals hats and jerseys. And I remember thinking, like, I don't see a lot of Reds hats and jerseys. This should all be Reds territory. And one of the things I found intriguing about this being a matchup is you have that sort of Southern Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia region,
Indiana,
Indiana, South Bend, all those regions there, which should be big, and Columbus should be kind of like the battleground for the between Cleveland and Cincinnati, but like Dayton should be big with the Reds and everything like that. And then so you have that region, and then you have the team of the South, and they're playing on the field of NASCAR, which is the big event sport that I've seen, especially when when I was spending a lot of time in the Carolinas. I mean, you can't help but be drawn into the orbit of that. And so it's a way of bringing it to, okay, you regions of fans, let's talk your language.
Yep.
And
I think too, like the one thing, and probably the reason that you've seen more Bengals stuff than Red stuff, is just the Reds have not put a good product on the field for the better part of the last 30 years. They've done everything else. Their marketing scheme is fantastic. They do a thing during the off season. They call it the Reds Winter Caravan, where they will take, a couple of players, a couple of past players, a couple of broadcasters, and maybe even a coach or two, and they'll go to different, neighboring cities and things. They go all the way to like Huntington, West Virginia, and things like that, where they bring players to the people. And I think that is a fantastic job. If they just get this talented core of players, and they build around them and they create a contending team, we're going to see that. We're going to see the Reds be more of a regional team the way that they should be, because especially with the television and really the radio coverage that the Reds have, you just need to have that consistent contender on the field. And I love the ways that they are able to kind of market their team. And it's something that, they have a Reds Fest at the beginning of December every year. That's a little bit up in the air because the convention center in Cincinnati that they always have it in is under renovation. So they're trying to figure out the logistics of that. But it all plays into this idea of bringing the game to the people. And without getting us into a blackouts conversation, because we're both in agreement that they're horrible, you've got to be able to market this game, to market these teams, to market these players to people and bring it to them, because baseball is no longer in a situation where it's America's pastime and people are just going to come. They're going to football games. They're going to basketball games. They're not like, forcing themselves into baseball. So baseball's got to kind of really put themselves in front of fans.
Yeah. And of course, the Red Sox being a massive, huge team in New England they needed to put the great product on the field. When they were terrible in the early 60s, they were talking about tearing down Fenway Park, or maybe the Red Sox moving. It's the Red Sox being a massive kind of national team is a relatively new development. And you saw that when the Braves were on national television through TBS, but they were garbage, the fans, it was a joke. But in the it was a perfect storm of cable television really exploding in the early 90s, around the time the Braves became a powerhouse. That's what sparked it. So I fervently agree with you. By the way, before we wrap up here, I want to say here is my suggestion for a game not played in a major league stadium. Okay? You have the Dodgers play the Mets in Brooklyn. You have the minor league, the Brooklyn Cyclones play in Coney Island. Mets, Dodgers in Brooklyn.
That'd be fun.
The Dodgers have not played in Brooklyn since the end of the 57 season. Major League Baseball hasn't played a game in Brooklyn since the end of the 57 season. Now, the Brooklyn Dodger fans and New York Giant fans created an unholy alliance that became the Mets. But the Mets played in the Polo Grounds, which must be difficult. If you're a Dodger fan, like, I got to adopt this new team. I have to go to the Polo Grounds, and my team is called New York.
Mhm.
So for one day, the Dodgers return, and we still have a few living Brooklyn Dodgers left, including Sandy Koufax, who's from Brooklyn and excelled in Los Angeles. So that would be my suggestion. The Dodgers return to Brooklyn for one day, and they will be booed. They will be booed as the unfaithful husband returning back home. But
that would be a huge marketing machine. And I mean, you know, you always talk about like this age of the internet and search engine optimization and all this stuff. You talk about hate clicks. There'll be some people that hate buy tickets to that game so they can go boo them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But then there'll be some people wearing the Brooklyn Dodgers hat and wearing the Jackie jerseys. That'll be cool. Tell me that wouldn't be a huge success.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Amen. All right. Well, hey, here's the trivia question. Trivia question for you all. And that was, who won? What pitcher won the final game ever won by the Dodgers in Ebbets Field? What was the name of the pitcher who won the final Dodgers game ever won in Ebbets Field? That's your trivia question. Put it right down here in the answer at YouTube. And find us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever it's called now. Same handle for Instagram. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Jeff Carr, where can they find you?
You can find me on X at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs, and you can find actually also on Twitter at Carr Jeff with 3 Fs. I just had to flip it. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, hey, talking about baseball and a racetrack with Jeff Carr of Locked On Reds. This has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Reds crossover. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Have a great weekend, everyone. You could call me Sully.